Well, the first thing with my customers, you do not tell them something that you can't do. And you always be straight with them and tell the truth, keep them happy, and make them feel like you're bending over backwards for them.
Welcome back to another installment of the Next Gen Case Study series. In this episode today, I have with me Jimmy Cannon, who is the general manager at Integrated Communications, Inc. He's been involved in the telecommunications industry for several years, bringing a wealth of experience to his role. His leadership focuses on integrating advanced technologies to enhance communication solutions for a variety of different industries. And I'm excited to have you on the program. Welcome, Jimmy.
Thank you.
So to kick the ball here and kind of get things started, I'd love to get a little bit deeper on who you are, where you came from, and how you found yourself as the general manager at ICI.
Well, I started this industry in 1990, right out of the military. Worked for a Motorola shop there locally in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Then I became a fireman for several years and did this on my off days for Integrated from 96, and I went full time with Integrated in the year 2000. Well, in 2012, I got offered a job in North Little Rock, Arkansas as a managed shop manager. So I moved to North Little Rock. I've been over there until the owners reached out to me over here and asked where I come run this Tupelo shop. Of course, here I am. But I've been with the company a total of probably 24 years.
Wow. First, thank you for your service. It's incredible that you have been a public servant for such a long time and then found yourself in this role. I admire your the tenacity to keep going and doing things that are of interest to you. In your role, could you give me a little bit of a description of what your kind of day to day looks like? What are you in charge of, or what's your responsibilities?
Well, okay, let's start here. I do sales, management of all my personnel, scheduling of all my personnel, taking care of all the books for this office, doing P&L. As a matter of fact, that's what I'm looking at right over here to my right, my P&L. And making sure everything's billed, make sure everything's collected, make sure everything's just done right and all the customers are taken care of, and take care of any complaints that come up, and answer about 60 questions a day from my employees.
I get a sense that you're a very hands-on guy in terms of the way that you like to deal with things. Am I on point with that assumption?
Yes. Very much so. I go out on service calls with my guys too, just to keep my technical brain still going.
Yeah, I imagine that lends to your ability to serve your clients to a higher degree. Is that true?
Yes, correct. Like I said, before I came here, I was in sales for about 2.5 years, and then moved into the manager's position here, which it's a whole different ball game. You got a lot more responsibilities, and it's kind of overwhelming to a certain extent. So I've been doing it since August of last year because they were just going to shut this office down. So I came in, fixed everything, made everybody happy, made them money. They're happy, I'm happy, everybody's happy. But they were supposed to shut this office down and shut the profit in 6 years.
Right. This is a real underdog story, kind of coming back from the brink of closing down. I'd love to get your perspective on what you think you did that made such a impact on kind of steering the ship in the other direction.
Well, making sure everything was invoiced and paid, for one thing. There was
That's a good start.
Stuff wasn't getting paid, stuff wasn't getting invoiced. You can't get paid if you don't invoice. And just the morale of the employees and stuff, everybody was at everybody's throat. I came in and made everybody happy. Everybody loves coming to work now. They smile, they interact more. And to me, it makes a job more efficient. And if you enjoy what you're doing, you're going to enjoy coming to work. Morale is a big thing for me. If you don't have good morale with your people, they're just not going to do good work, in my opinion.
And that seems to be a common trend, Jim, with all the people that I've talked to over the past few weeks, that fostering a community in business is so much more important. And I've personally noticed, and I'd love to get your take on this, but I've personally noticed a shift from task oriented management, where you get a task, you go do that task, and then you come back for more marching orders, to a bit more of an empowering perspective, in that it's more goal focused. The business has a goal, and we are all charged with um, trying to come up with solutions and strategies to achieve that goal, and then we all work together to make sure that that happens. And so it kind of gives people a little bit more um, intrinsic interest in wanting to participate. It gives them more motivation to want to show up every day. But then beyond that, I think it gives them a deeper purpose and meaning in how they're fitting into the as a cog into the big machine. Is that what you've noticed?
Yeah, exactly. I had one guy that's all he's been doing for the last 12 years is installing radios, and he's, got his ETA, he's a certified electronics technician. I'm like, why aren't you doing service calls? And I put more responsibility on him because he wanted it, and I gave it to him. Yeah, he'd never even been on call in 12 years. So that brought his morale up a lot. Because he's actually playing two roles till I can hire one more person. I can't hire somebody until I get the books where I need them.
Right. So let's talk to that for a minute. The way businesses grow now and find their customers is a lot different than it used to be. It used to be that we could put an ad on a TV program or on the radio or even in the newspaper, and that would be enough. And I remember, I remember the days where people would start a business and name it, A1 or class or A class or triple A or whatever, just so they could show up earlier in the phone book than anybody else, because that was like a strategy to acquire customers. I'm curious to get your perspective now in terms of how things have shifted. What are some of the things that you're exploring in terms of finding new customers and building the business?
Well, matter of fact, we're doing a merchandising pitch with Motorola right now. They're coming up with us advertising scheme and all that. My big thing is getting out and seeing the customer and talking to the customer. Get the door open for us and let the big guys come in and meet with them and get their business. This is what I tell my salespeople, which I don't have one right now. I've got one salesman in Huntsville, Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
but he's just starting. And Mike and I, out of our basal office, we share this other girl, and Shannon, my administrative girl, she sells a lot. So I don't have anybody out knocking on doors, calling on customers, trying to get new customers and stuff. I'm having to do all this and do that too. So, it takes a lot of my time. And, until I get somebody, I guess I got to play all the roles.
Right.
And as long as they're making money, you keep playing your roles, keep doing what you're doing. But it's about to wear me ragged.
Yeah, and now with so many new shifts in technology and the tools that we have available to us, it's one of those situations where, I mean, if you don't know what's out there, you kind of put yourself at a bit of a disadvantage in terms of um, how you can leverage tools and technology to grow your business. And when your time is your most valuable resource, how do you navigate that balance between staying in the weeds of it all, doing all the things, but then also exploring what the potential or what the possibilities are out there? I imagine that that's a bit of a balancing act for you, Jim.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, we got a pretty large customer base because we do a lot of public safety, and we do the state system for the state of Mississippi, the northern half of the state.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm expanding territory in northern Alabama, just to expand more, because the previous manager would not go 45 minutes away from the shop. That was his little circle of working. Mm-hmm. But now I'm willing to go 2 to 3 hours in a circle.
Yeah, a very hands-on approach. What motivates that?
Uh, the same thing that motivates everybody, money. The more you do, the more you make.
Yeah, that's true. It is definitely a numbers game. So when it comes to managing the clients and the relationships and things like that you have, what are some of the strategies that you follow to help keep those relationships viable and good for the business?
Well, the first thing with my customers, you do not tell them something that you can't do. And you always be straight with them and tell the truth, keep them happy, and make them feel like you're bending over backwards for them,
Hmm.
which I've got one EPA I'm bending over backwards for. Yeah. We
Yeah.
just put my new system in and everything works, but they didn't tell us about a 600-foot ridge that we got to talk over. And they're only at 350 feet, So we're having to move their system to a taller tower to get their better coverage that they need. And I'm bending over backwards to do that for them.
That's not a common thing that we find in business. The willingness for business to stretch beyond what makes dollars and cents in terms of immediate ROI. But when you look at it in a long from a long-term perspective, that after having a client and then showing them a remarkable experience, I imagine they'll talk about what you do to other people that matter, and eventually that comes back to you almost in a sense of, good, you put good karma out there or good energy out there, and that good energy comes back towards you. Do you find that to be true in the work that you're doing?
Yes, very much true. You know, it's always worked for me. When I was in sales my first year, they expected me to do $500,000. I did 2.1 million in sales my first year in sales.
Wow.
I was just working with the customer, being honest and building their trust with them. Once you get a customer's trust, you're in. They won't go anywhere else because they know they can trust you. A lot of salespeople that go in, they get the deal, they turn around and leave. They don't ever call the customer again until the customer calls them needing something. They don't check back in with the customer. They don't keep up with the customer. You know,
Mm.
that's what my fellow salesmen at my previous company. That's why I saw from them, because like I've been in this business a long time, and I know how state and local government works. They don't get in a hurry. You know, I'm not going to call the customer after I give them a quote 2 days later and ask them if they get it approved. They get it approved, goes through several chains of commands, before it gets approved. It could be 3 weeks, it could be 2 months. And I just had patience and stayed with it. But once you build a big customer base, you got this customer you're waiting for 3 months, but hey, start on another one. Right after 3 months, then the fourth month, you got this customer coming in buying a big system. You just got to stack them up where they're just steady coming in month to month.
So I'd love to get from your experience some insight on the tools and technology that you're using to help make the sales process and customer relationship management easier. I trust that there's a lot of moving parts in the business, and there's you have a decent enough client base to uh, at some points, I'm sure, be overwhelmed with the amount of the workload and things like that. What are you guys using in the way of tools and technology to help make some of that easier for you?
We've got several different places that we go. Uh, I don't use them a lot because I don't really like them,
Mm.
because you're cold calling a customer that's no longer using their radios or this. But Washington Radio Reports is a real good one. That's where we get a lot of our information on the FCC license, who's in that area, who's doing their license, and their license doesn't expire. Give them a call and say, hey, your FCC license is just expired. Can I renew it? You make $800, but you're making $800 off a phone call.
Right. So in terms of looking forward into the future of the work that you're doing and the growth that you guys are going through, what are some of the things that are on the horizon for ICI that you're kind of excited for?
Uh, Hopefully closing these two big deals I've got going right now. It would make my year. But basically, I want more salespeople. I want people out beating the street to take that load off of me where I can be a better manager of my people and the finances and the running of the business instead of trying to do it all. It's overwhelming at times, but you just got to juggle the ball.
Yeah, you got to keep the balls in the air until until somebody shows up to help take some of that load off, which can be a daunting process in and of itself. But again, that the whole um, time being your most valuable resource, and if you're caught too much spending too much time serving your clients, you don't have enough time to find clients, and then there's this give and take that you have to go through to be able to get into a position where it all makes sense. And then, that's not the end of it because growth is always inevitable if you're moving in the right direction. So I guess it could constantly be a challenge. Do you see that?
Yeah, see it every day, every day. It's just it's a cat and mouse game. But you got to keep the owners happy
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
they're footing the bill for everything. And when you do a big order, and you're sitting, because the supply chain issue, that's the biggest thing in our business right now. It's the supply chain. We order something, and it doesn't come in forever, but it's on our books, showing that, hey, you already owe this money. So it kind of puts you in a hole until the equipment comes in, and the supply chain isn't getting any better. So we're trying to invest more money into buying more merchandise to have it on the shelf. Because, you go to a customer and you sell them a system, well, it'll be here in 3 months. Where it used to be, it'd be here in a week. So they're sitting on go ready to do it, but their equipment's not going to be here for 3 months. But it's so many pieces and parts. Some of it are coming in, so you got to pay for that. Sit on it for 3 months. It's very stressful.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of moving parts, and I imagine it poses a great deal of challenges for you along the way. Um, you've been very generous with your time, Jim, and I'm very thankful for the insights that you've shared. Um, in closing, I'd love to get your perspective on one last thing. If there was somebody else who was kind of in a similar role as you, facing some of the similar challenges, you seem to be resilient enough to stay the course and see things through. I wonder if you had any advice for somebody who's in a similar position that would kind of help them also overcome some of this stuff.
Go to the doctor and get Lunesta. It helps you sleep. you know, that's what I finally had to do because I couldn't sleep at night.
Right.
Because your mind's just racing. The main thing is try to leave business at work, and when you get home, relax. Where you're fresh the next day, you're not just strung out. But I took a vacation, I think. I took one day where I didn't answer my phone, checking emails or anything like that. And it's been like 2 years before I took a vacation, before I took this little one. And it was only like 3 or 4 days. I'm taking next week off and relaxing, turning my phone off, relaxing.
Good. You get some fishing in. You deserve it.
Some boat riding and side by side riding.
There we go. That's something to look forward to. Well, Jim, you've been very helpful, and for that I'm grateful. In closing, is if somebody wanted to reach out to you to maybe work with you or pick your brain or something like that, is that a possibility? And if so, what's the best way to do it?
Yeah, not a problem. Just, you got my email address, don't you?
I sure do. Yeah. If you're okay
Yeah.
with it, I can link to that in
Yeah.
the show notes when we put this out.
Sure. Sure. That'd be great. I can get insight from them too.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Collaboration is always beneficial when it's organic like this. So I hope that there's some opportunity on the horizon for you and the work that you're doing. And On that note, if anybody wants to get in touch with me or my team, it's nextgengrowth.com. Otherwise, that's it for this episode, and I will see you in the next.